I wanted to get into an ecosystem where I'm able to interact with the founders directly and learn from them about the new technologies or new emerging stuff. Because बाकी सारे तो outdated है, वो तो सभी कुछ पता है. So I was not also inclined to do something traditional. I was already doing traditional stuff, and I took that call that probably it won't survive, right? So something has to be learned. Either I don't come from that tech background, so for me it was not a choice to start a tech company. But obvious then the next point is that मुझे तो यही आता है investment करना. तो investment से सीखेंगे, and अब की बार थोड़ी मेहनत ज़्यादा होगी. So I was okay to do that since मेरे पास पूरा time ही time था.
Correct.
And that's where I got in, क्योंकि मुझे सीखना भी था. I wanted to learn, and I wanted to have the access to the founder and do it full time. There was no vision at all what I am doing today as a fund manager or running a fund like this. Absolutely not. Idea was to just do what you love.
I think you did about 20-25 investments before you decided to start Rockstud.
Yeah, 24. Precisely,
24.
That's the point. I stopped doing personal investments, and I felt that after spending 4 years in the ecosystem, this is a good time to now get into full-time business. And since I stopped 2014 prior, what I was doing, I wanted to build institution, something professional and something long-lasting, and have a clear of my say. So वो था कि मेरा say होना चाहिए rather than people taking their call. And that's the reason I took that time to really learn something new about this ecosystem, about investment, and then took that call of launching Rockstud Capital back in 2018. With our first fund, which is
very unique fund, by the way. When you told me about the fund, I had also just got Artha Venture Fund started, and then you told me about that fund. I was like, hey, this is allowed? Like, how are you doing this? Brilliant strategy. And before you tell me about it, let me just explain what the strategy is, because you're going to make it more technical than I will, right? But simple strategy was that you had two parts to your fund. 50% was listed, 50% was unlisted.
Yes.
And the intent and the focus, what you were saying, was that the listed equities would be able to return at least 1x of the capital, which is it would be 2x on the 50%, hence returning 100% back to the investors, and then all your profits would effectively be in the startups, and you have your principal back. Am I saying it correctly?
You're right. Except one part. It was 51-49, just to be precise, because in SEBI rules, minimum 51% should be invested unlisted.
Side, right?
And that point of time, that was the rule, very vaguely put up, and we used that as a strategy.
But it was one of the most unique products. Nobody else was doing it.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, I would say I can take that credit of doing it first, and that also came with a circle of competent people who advised me that, Abhishek, if you now go in the market asking 1 crore check to investors to write in a startup and you have not shown any exit in your personal portfolio companies, then whatever exit I got after my fund was launched. Achha. So when I was supposed to go for the fundraising, I was not sure that what is going to happen. So after that, lot of good advice in this case, people suggested me that I should be using my experience in both the listed and unlisted, and that can convince the near families and fools to invest in the first fund. So that's where the strategy actually had to come.
The FNF round. So I have the list of stocks that you have invested in, and I have some questions about just the way you ran the whole strategy. I think because it was a unique product. Unfortunately, for many family offices, it was too unique, right? Which is also a problem, right? Like you were, I think you preempted the market by a few years.
Yeah.
Today, if you launched a 50-50 product, I think the acceptance would be much higher.
Yeah, I think
you may disagree with me, but I feel that there is a lot more understanding now. You have SME, IPO, everything.
Yeah.
But you also decided that you're going to be very public about everything you did.
Yeah.
I mean, let's look at some of the investments you made listed side. I'll talk about those first, right? Granules, 138 rupees a share was roughly your entry price, which is currently at 420. Info Edge, you entered 1500 average price, currently at 5900. Amber, 950, currently at 3600. Tata Elxsi, 650, currently at 7750 plus. Persistent Systems, 750 rupees a share, currently at 1300, and not counting any dividends that have been paid out here. And then after that, I think you stopped issuing what price you had entered at. So you have Canara Bank, Mahindra Resorts, Aditya Birla Capital, Kaplan, Point Industries, Hiranba Industries, Aditya Birla Fashion Retail, Zensa Technologies, Canfin, ICI Securities, and Dhampur Sugars. Do I have the list correct?
Yes, you are right.
But very interestingly, and I would encourage everybody to go to the Rockstud website and click, there's a media section which has the Stud Mag. And every single one of these investments, you actually have your thesis on the website. In the startup cases, you did it right when you invested. But in listed case, you had to wait, I'm guessing, because of regulatory stuff. But about a year or two later, you published this was my thesis.
Yeah, correct, you're right.
What was the requirement to be so public?
From the startup ecosystem, I just realized that as much as the listed equity was so open, the startup ecosystem was very opaque. I would consider even today it is the scenario. You don't get any data, nobody's talking about it. I just felt if you really want to build trust, then the only way you can build trust is when you are actually able to showcase your work. And if you're not going to be vocal about it, then how can I convince anybody in the ecosystem, whether my investor or even those founders who are supposed to invest with me? So it is very good to ask transparency on the other side, being an investor. But if it doesn't come from your end, then I don't think so it is a fair deal.
Correct.
A fair deal has to happen from both the sides. My vision, as I told you right from day one when I came back from UK, was that I wanted to build something institution. But of course, we never had a business who could have just scaled me to that level. And I had to really go through this journey before I could have started this fund and do this part of my life where today I know that where we are.
Correct.
And somebody to notice Rockstud, unless I don't publicize the track record, which is the holy grail for us, I felt that to do my first scheme and then go through the journey of 4-5 years before a credible track record would become public, why not now? That is the reason why I wanted to make sure that we are not the people who wanted to ever take a large cap or super large cap bets. Our focus was always a mid and small cap, and that's where the startup ecosystem also comes.
Correct.
And that thesis should be there. So if you look at the entire basket of stocks you named, all of them at that point of time when we had invested were classic mid and small cap. I remember Tata Elxsi was roughly trading around 3,000 crore market cap.
Correct.
And we had taken an exit when it was about 35,000 crore market cap, and that is I'm talking from the listed equity only. So ऐसा नहीं है startup में पैसे बनते इधर ही पैसे बनते, but then हम बना सकते. That was the whole thing. And another part was I never wanted to build a VC fund. Okay, like everybody wants to do a scheme 2, scheme 3, scheme 4. My vision was never that. My idea was that I want to cater to asset classes, and my large client or the investor who is my investor is supposed to get all the options with me as far as investing in different assets.
Got it.
Right? And that is the capability Rockstud should be able to manage it. So that was the thing that I wanted to showcase my public and private investment capabilities through publicizing my work very clearly and openly without having any shyness in terms of hiding something, which I don't think so anybody should be in that aspect.